Think about the last time someone really agreed with you. Not politely agreed, not nodded along, but genuinely seemed to understand exactly what you meant. Responded in a way that made you feel like they just got it. Like you didn't have to explain yourself. It felt good. Maybe even unusually good. Now, think about how often you actually pushed back on those people. How often you expressed something they might not like. How often you let them see the version of you that doesn't land well. Probably not often. Because the relationship that makes you feel seen, that reflects your energy back with warmth and agreement, doesn't invite friction. And at some point, without either of you deciding it, that relationship stopped being about knowing each other and started being about maintaining the feeling of approval. This is one of the quietest and most widespread patterns in modern emotional life. And almost no one inside it can see it clearly. There's a specific moment that happens in certain relationships. It's not a dramatic moment. There's no argument, nothing breaks, nothing is said. It's the moment when you're in the middle of a conversation with someone you see regularly, someone you consider close, and something shifts in your perception. A quiet recognition, like a camera pulling back slightly. You realize the person across from you isn't quite there. They're present in all the technical ways. They're nodding, responding, asking follow-up questions at the right moments. Their expressions are appropriate. The conversation is going well by almost any measurable standard. But something underneath it is missing. The friction of a real person. Their actual opinions. The places where they'd naturally disagree. The moments where they'd be uncomfortable but say it anyway. The parts of themselves that don't bend easily around what you need. None of that is available. What you're getting instead is a version of them that has been quietly shaped over months, maybe years, to be as agreeable as possible, to receive you, to make the interaction smooth. And the uncomfortable thing is, if you had to describe this person to someone else, you'd probably say they were great, easy to talk to, a good listener, one of those rare people who just gets it. You wouldn't be wrong. You'd just be missing what's actually happening. Once you understand this pattern, you start seeing it in small, specific behaviors. The person who rewrites a text message 3 times, not because they're unclear, but because they're checking whether each version could generate a negative response. The person who monitors the energy in a room and subtly changes their position on things based on how the audience responds. Who laughs at something they don't find funny because the laughter signals safety. Who shares an opinion and then, sensing resistance, softens it almost immediately, not because they changed their mind, but because they felt approval withdraw. They are always running a background calculation. How is this being received? What does this person need from me right now? What version of me is this situation calling for? And the answers to those questions shape almost everything they say and do. What makes this behaviorally unusual is the invisibility of the process. These people are not calculating consciously. They're not strategizing. They've just spent enough time in environments where social approval was tied to self-modification that the modification became automatic, involuntary, as natural as adjusting your posture when someone walks into the room. Ask them a direct question, something with enough edge to reveal where they actually stand, and they'll give you an answer that feels complete, that covers the terrain, that doesn't leave you with anywhere to push. And if you do push, they'll move. not fight, not hold ground. Move. Here's what this behavior is built on, and it's not what most people assume.
Validation, the experience of being approved of, agreed with, seen favorably, activates the same reward circuitry that drives other behavioral dependencies. It feels good in the way that matters most to the brain. It registers as safety, social belonging, continued inclusion in the group. The problem isn't that validation feels good. The problem is what happens when it becomes the primary thing someone is managing in their relationships. Because at that point, something quietly substitutes. Instead of showing up to connect, to be known, to know, they show up to be received well, to generate warmth, to manage the approval output. And those two orientations produce entirely different kinds of relationships. One creates depth over time. The other creates something that looks like depth, but can't absorb honesty. Here is where it starts. Not in adulthood, not in a single relationship. It usually starts in an environment, a household, a social group, sometimes just one significant relationship, where expressing an actual unmodified self generated consistent negative feedback, where a disagreement created tension that didn't resolve, where a need or emotion that was inconvenient to the people around them was dismissed or punished or met with withdrawal. Not consciously. The brain doesn't require conscious instruction to reorganize around a repeating pattern. After enough repetitions, the lesson was simply encoded. Exposure creates risk. Agreement creates safety. Modification is survival. By the time they're adults, navigating friendships and relationships and professional environments, they've spent years developing a version of themselves that is optimized for reception rather than truth. The difficult part is that it doesn't feel like suppression from inside. It feels like social intelligence. There's a specific arc that tends to unfold in relationships with people living inside this pattern. In the beginning, the experience is genuinely good. They're warm, attentive, available in a way that feels rare for modern life. They seem to understand you. They mirror your energy. They make the interaction easy. And you feel seen. Except you're not seeing them. You're seeing yourself, reflected back with warmth and agreement. And this can feel like intimacy for quite a long time, until enough of it is passed that you start noticing something slightly off. The relationship feels thin in a way you can't explain. Not broken, not dramatic, just slightly less substantial than it should be, given how much time you've spent together.
What you might also notice, and this is the behavior that reveals the most, is what happens when you seem slightly less warm, when you're distracted or busy, or simply not giving the approval signal at the usual intensity. They'll feel it immediately, even if they don't say anything. You might notice them becoming slightly more attentive, a message sent when they wouldn't normally send one, a warmth in their response that has a faint edge of management to it. Because in their system, a cooling in your approval registers the same way a threat registers. Not rationally, not consciously, just as something that needs to be addressed. Here's a moment worth sitting with. Because this isn't only about the people you recognize this in. Think about the last time you adjusted what you said based on how you thought it would be received. Not for clarity, not for kindness, just because you could sense the room and you shaped what you offered to fit it. Think about how often you share something online and then quietly monitor the response, how it lands, and whether the feeling of it landing changes whether you'd post something similar again. These aren't personality failures. They're behavioral patterns. And they exist on a spectrum.
The question isn't whether you do this. The question is how much of yourself has quietly been shaped around the response.
There's a version of this pattern that lives almost entirely in digital spaces, and it's becoming one of the most common ways identity gets quietly modified in modern life. The person who started creating online, posting, sharing, building a presence with something close to authenticity, who began noticing over months what generated warmth and what generated silence, what got saved, what got scrolled past, what produced the reaction that felt good, and what produced the quiet that felt like disapproval. They didn't decide to change, but they noticed. And the next thing they made was slightly adjusted, slightly safer, slightly more shaped toward the response they'd learned to recognize as positive. And the next thing after that was slightly more adjusted again. After enough iterations, they've built an online presence that reflects not who they are, but what the approval system trained them to produce. And the most unsettling part, if you ask them whether their online presence was authentic, most of them would say yes. Because by now, the modified version is the one they identify with. This is how identity gets rewritten by approval, not through a single decision, not through conscious compromise, through thousands of small, individually reasonable adjustments, each of which felt like nothing, and all of which accumulated into a version of a person that the algorithm and the audience trained into existence. Here's what this all converges on, and it's the part that's genuinely difficult to sit with. Being understood, really understood, is not the same experience as being validated. Being understood sometimes means someone sees something in you that you're not comfortable with, stays present with you through a version of yourself that isn't easy to be around, responds to something real rather than something curated. Validation can be received from a distance. It can be generated through performance. It doesn't require you to expose anything real. It only requires you to successfully present something receivable. Understanding is different. Understanding requires showing the inconvenient version, the opinionated, inconsistent, sometimes uncomfortable version, the one that says what it actually thinks and waits to see what happens. For someone who has spent years treating approval as emotional safety, that is not a small risk. Because the risk of being known is also the risk of being rejected for what's actually there. Not the curated version, not the agreeable performance, the actual thing. And most people who have built their lives around avoiding that risk have found an arrangement that feels almost sustainable. They have relationships, they're liked, they're described as warm, easy, good to be around. They just feel underneath all of it, not quite seen, not quite present in their own lives, like they're performing an extremely convincing version of a person who belongs in the rooms they're in. Most people chasing validation aren't doing it because they love approval. They're doing it because at some point, in a specific environment, in a specific relationship, after enough repetitions of a specific lesson, they concluded that showing people who they actually are was a gamble they couldn't afford to take. And so they offered something else instead, something warmer, softer, more agreeable, more shaped around what the room required. And it worked. People liked it. People responded well. The approval came. What also came, quietly over years, was a growing distance between the self being presented and the self doing the presenting. And somewhere in that distance lives the thing they're actually looking for. Not approval from people who are responding to a performance, but the specific,
terrifying, irreplaceable experience of being known by someone who stayed anyway. Most of them won't find that out until they're years into a life surrounded by people who approve of them completely and still feel entirely alone.